we are comfortable for today's video. G'day beautiful souls, welcome back to another video. My name is Ellatronics, but you can call me Ella. It's my goal to share as much truth as I can about how to heal depression forever, because it is 100% possible to heal depression forever. It's not something that you have to live with or put up with or manage or control, which is what we tend to do when we don't really know how to heal it. So I want to share the way to healing depression, because I see that so many music producers and musicians, artists are suffering with depression and living with it day to day when they don't actually have to live with it day to day. There is a way to actually heal it. And so what I'd love to share with you today is 3 big questions you could ask yourself to work towards healing depression. So the person who inspired these 3 questions is a friend of mine named Courtney Poole, and she is a healing overeating coach who specializes in vegan nutrition. And she wrote these 3 questions in a post one day, which I thought were really awesome and important questions to ask. And so I thought I'd do a video on it in relation to healing depression. So whether you're new to the channel or not, pull up a posse and get comfy, because in today's video, we're going to look at these 3 big questions that you can ask yourself that will hopefully be your guide to working through healing depression in your life. So if you're living with depression and you're doing all of these things that everyone tells you to do to feel better, to manage it, to control it, but you just can't seem to feel better and you just don't feel better, then this is the 3 questions you need to ask yourself. So the first question is, how much do I cry? As I spoke about in the first video, healing depression is a 100% emotional process. So it involves you having to feel some emotions, especially the painful ones that you have been avoiding and suppressing for your whole life. So this is a very big question to ask yourself. How much do I cry? So yeah, if you're somebody who hasn't actually cried for years, this is going to be a very big cause as to why you have depression. So we need to be able to feel and express our pain every single day, 24/7 when we need to. So if we are suppressing our emotions and we aren't crying and we haven't cried for years on end, that's a massive problem, and it's actually very damaging to your soul and is a big reason as to why you have depression. So crying is a very important part of the process to healing depression forever. You can heal it, but it requires you having to feel and process some pain in your life that you have probably been suppressing over a long period of time because you feel that it's just too painful to go there. And in my experience, crying and allowing myself to feel again has only ever resulted in positive outcomes. This is going to be a very important question to ask yourself if you are suffering with depression every single day is, how much do I cry? When was the last time I actually allowed myself to cry and feel some pain about my life and about my childhood? About the things that happened to me when I was little that I didn't actually get to grieve or feel. And I've been carrying it around my life this whole time, just suppressing it and just holding on to it, and that's what we are essentially doing. We're carrying around this bag of sadness that, is weighing us down and making us depressed, right? So it's a heavy weight that we need to let go of. And the only way to do that is to cry and is to express and feel our pain. So if you haven't cried in years, this is a very big hint to you as to why you're depressed. So ask yourself that question. How much do I cry? When was the last time I actually cried? This is going to help you so much in your journey to healing depression forever. The second big question that you need to ask yourself is, how much do I punch pillows? Yes, we need to get out our baseball bat or use our fists, and we need to express our rage in loving and healthy ways that doesn't harm us or other people. So if you're known in the community, or if you're somebody who is known to not get frustrated or angry, and you're always putting on this smiley, happy face, I would actually look at that, because if you haven't expressed anger or rage ever in your life, or let's say for a long time, then that is also a very big problem as to why you can't heal depression. Depression is all about rage. It's about suppressed rage over a long period of time. For example, if you had something that happened to you as a child and you got angry and then you were punished for that and you were belted and you were basically suppressed, you weren't allowed to feel that rage. And then you had 1,000 times of those experiences over your lifetime of feeling angry but suppressing it, or getting scared that you're going to get punished if you express your rage and your anger, and so you suppress that emotion, then that is going to be another big cause as to why you feel depressed. And this is the problem with suppressing rage, is that once it's suppressed over a long period of time and it has no outlet, nowhere to go, this is the reason why you end up having thoughts every day of wanting to harm yourself. This is the reason why you probably have explosions and project your rage at other people, is because this rage has nowhere to go. You're not able to express it in a healthy way. And the way to, heal depression and remove these intrusive thoughts of wanting to harm yourself or wanting to harm other people is to actually start feeling rage and anger. So get out a baseball bat or use your fist and start whacking your bed or your pillow. For me, lately, I like to vocalize my rage and yell and scream and swear and, just vocalize it from my soul. And that's helping me to connect to my rage and actually get down into my grief. And so I'll sit on my feeling chair at the back and I will just yell, scream, swear, do whatever I need to do to get down into the real grief that I'm suppressing. So rage is suppressing your actual pain and grief. So it's actually stopping you from crying. Suppress rage, you'll never get your tears out. Like, you'll never get down into deep grief when you're suppressing so much rage. So how much do I punch pillows is a very important question to ask yourself, because it's going to tell you where you're at and give you like a good marker, a good starting point in going, wow, I just haven't expressed any emotion for years. And if I want to heal depression, I'm going to have to do a lot of work on myself to be able to get to the point of feeling emotions again. So they're the first two questions. How much do I cry? So they're the first two questions. How much do I cry and how much do I punch pillows? Very good questions to ask yourself if you're suffering with depression every single day. And if your answer to both of those questions is I don't cry and I don't express my rage ever, or at least for a very long time I haven't, then the next question to ask yourself is, what am I doing to suppress my emotions? Now, there are many things that we can do to suppress our emotions, and most of it is to do with our addictions. And these addictions can be either physical addictions or emotional addictions. And I've shared a little bit about this on my channel before, but just very briefly. Physical addictions are obviously anything that we use externally to suppress and desensitize ourselves to our emotions. So that can be food, sex, drugs, alcohol, and so on. So the physical addictions are easier to clock because they're all external. You can usually see them physically. You can see that someone's putting on weight because they're eating too much. You can see that someone's life is being destroyed because they're addicted to drugs or alcohol. So you can actually see those problems in someone else's life. The emotional addictions are a little bit more harder to see. They're more insidious, and sometimes you don't even know you have them. Yeah, this is a good way to actually put it. Emotional addictions are addictions that we have with other people, whereas physical addictions are addictions we have with external things, right, to ourselves. Substances, like things, they're physical addictions. Emotional addictions are addictions that we have with other people. They're emotions that we want other people to give us that make us feel good. So we want other people to make us feel good all the time. And these are ways that we can suppress our pain and our rage and our anger. Because if other people can make us feel good, well, we don't need to feel all of these other emotions in our soul that are not so good. So we can definitely use other people to make ourselves feel good and suppress these horrible, painful, dark parts of our soul. And I've done this all my life. And I think everyone is doing this all their life because that's what we've been conditioned to do. It's how we've been brought up. It's how humanity operates. We use any tool possible to avoid and suppress our emotions. So with the emotional addictions, they're harder to see because they're addictions and things that we want, feel-good feelings that we want from other people. And so they're a lot more harder to see because a lot of the emotional addictions society will often look at as normal. We see them as normal and acceptable in society. So I'll just give you an example. The hardest emotional addictions to actually clock are the addictions that you have with your parents and the addictions that your parents have with you. So the parent-child relationship has a lot of emotional addictions in it. And this can carry on into our adult life, and we will often live our life wanting certain things from our parents, demanding certain things from our parents, and them also demanding certain things from us. So for example, you could grow up like with an addiction to needing your mum or your dad to give you constant praise and approval. And so you'll live your life doing things that they only approve of, right? You will modify your adult life to be what your mum and dad want you to be, to do what your mum and dad want you to do because you do not want to lose their approval. You will live your life, doing things that they approve of. You won't actually live your life doing things that you desire and want to do. You actually live a life of doing things that they desire and want you to do. So that's an example of an emotional addiction. The parent-child relationship, needing mummy and daddy's approval, is the biggest emotional addiction, I think, in society and humanity that we have, is this constant need for mummy and daddy to make us feel like we're a good little kid, we're good, that we're approved of, that we're loved. And we're constantly chasing this love and these emotional addictions in the world and in our life. And if we can't get these addictions fulfilled with mummy and daddy, then we'll often, seek out these emotional addictions in our relationships, friendships, partnerships. So this big emotional addiction for approval is a big problem to actually processing through emotion. So if you want to actually start feeling and processing emotions, give up all your need for approval and do things the opposite to what everyone else wants you to do and see how it makes you feel when you lose their approval, right? So start being you and see how fast you lose everyone's approval and how crappy you feel. And that's going to get you into feeling some rage and then hopefully down into some sadness just by giving up this one emotional addiction, the need to be approved of in the world. When we took an action that created disapproval from the immediate environment, from the people in our immediate environment, that then conditioned us to believe that this action equals disapproval. So therefore, I'm not going to do this action anymore. Now, this action may not have been bad, may not have been, something that you actually needed to give up. It probably was good for your soul or, could have been something that was unique to your personality. But now you're giving that up because it created some disapproval from some people in your life. So another example of an emotional addiction that I really struggled with was the addiction to never feeling lonely. The addiction to never feeling lonely is an emotional addiction because you want other people to make you feel not lonely. You want them to give you good feelings, like you're welcomed and you're part of a crew, a gang. And, like these are all emotional addictions that we want from other people. So what did I do to never feel lonely? I constantly surrounded myself with other people. I created friendships that were totally toxic and facade just so that I didn't have to actually feel alone. So I used friendships to avoid feeling how lonely I felt in this world. There were friendships that basically helped me to just have a bit of temporary fun through partying, going out, whatever it was that we did. But they weren't actually real friendships, because once I stopped doing those things, once I stopped partying with people, once I stopped going out and taking drugs and drinking, all of these friends that I had when I was doing that, they all of a sudden, slowly, not all of a sudden, they just slowly trickled out of my life. I didn't get any phone calls. I didn't get anyone, messaging me, hey, let's go out. I didn't get anyone like just saying, hey, do you want to catch up for, maybe lunch, dinner? Like those friendships only existed when Fasadi Thalia wanted to party and go out and drink and have fun. When I stopped doing all of that, those friendships ceased to exist. And I no longer really had anyone who wanted to actually hang out with me for me. I realized like, wow, I just created all these like friendships because I was lonely and I didn't want to feel lonely. So I went out and partied and did all these things with these people, but these people were never really my friends. They were just there for the partying. And when I wanted to change and actually create more meaningful relationships in my life, they were nowhere to be seen, and they showed no interest in me other than, when I wanted to party, and they loved the party Thalia. So Thalia is my real name, by the way. Ella is my nickname. So yeah, I shared this because I wanted to illustrate how intense our addictions are and how they drive our choices and interactions with other people, and how, this one desire to avoid not feeling lonely ends up putting us in situations with people who aren't really our true friends anyway. But because we desperately want to avoid feeling lonely, we're willing to compromise our ethics, morals, our love of self and love of others to, just avoid feeling that we're lonely. And so we're willing to put ourselves in situations with other people who don't actually really care about us and who we also don't really care about either. We're willing to do a lot of things, to avoid our emotions. So yeah, it's really important to understand how damaging like our emotional addictions can be in our life, and also how damaging our physical addictions can be as well. I'm so grateful that I was able to, spend some time in my life alone so that I could work through some of these addictions, where I can get to the point now where I can spend time on my own and I'm fine with that. And I can spend time with other people that are my real friends and that who actually care about me. And I can make better choices now for my life and who I choose to spend my time with, in developing quality relationships built on truth and realness, not fake relationships built on nothing, And I value love of myself over avoiding, my loneliness because I have no friends to be around, I'd rather feel my loneliness than put myself in situations with other people who don't actually value me or care about me as a person, I'm able to spend time on my own without feeling like I'm missing out, and I'm able to, enjoy my own company, and I'm able to now focus on developing more real and important relationships with myself, with God, with my soulmate, and with, any other friends who reach out to me from time to time. But my life is no longer dictated by this addiction to avoid loneliness, where I'm constantly having to surround myself with a whole heap of people who don't care about me just to feel some kind of love and acceptance. So they're just a couple examples of emotional addictions where we use other people to give us good feelings, to help us to avoid the sadness, the pain, or the anger that we don't want to feel. So if you can discover the physical addictions that you're using to avoid and suppress your emotions and the emotional ones that you're also doing to avoid and suppress your emotions, you're going to be on your way to healing depression forever, because all of these ways are stopping you from crying and feeling your rage and anger. So you need to remove all of these addictions from your life so that you can actually start allowing some of these emotions to come to the surface. Without doing that, you're going to never cry. You're never going to be rageful. You're just going to be numbed out, desensitized, and therefore depressed. You want to heal depression? Ask yourself these 3 questions. Start answering them. Start finding ways to correct them. Start looking deeply. It requires a lot of self-awareness to become aware of what you're doing to suppress and desensitize yourself to your feelings. The biggest 3 questions, if you can answer them, you can start working on them. It's going to change your life. You're going to get out of depression. You're going to heal it. You're going to get out of depression. You're going to be able to heal it forever, where you no longer carry around this bag of emotions. No wonder we are depressed. When you have so many suppressed emotions inside your soul, it's no wonder we are depressed. Imagine walking into a room full of people who are sad and angry. You're going to be hell depressed in that room, right? You're going to want to get out of there so fast because you know how it feels when you're around somebody who's so negative and sad and just down. It becomes very draining, right? It's going to be it's a heavy weight. That's what carrying around these emotions are like. It's a heavy weight. It's a bag of heavy weight on your shoulders that you need to release and let go. So yeah, just think of it like that. Imagine walking into a room full of thousands of depressed, people who are angry, sad, suppressing all these emotions. Well, that's basically what's going on in your soul. You've got 1,000 or more experiences over your lifetime where you have suppressed sadness and rage, and that's all existing in your soul at the moment. So be compassionate towards yourself, understand that this is why you are depressed, but also understand it is 100% healable. You can heal from depression and you don't need to live with it. Now, healing depression forever doesn't mean you won't experience pain again. But when you do experience pain again, you'll know how to deal with it. You'll know how to feel through it, and you'll know how to process it so that it doesn't become stuck in you again. So, healing depression is all about just getting to a point where you desire life, you desire to exist, you desire to chase after your dreams, you desire to chase after your goals, you desire to live life to the fullest as best as you can, right? And you desire to do all of that as a feeling, sensing, and emotional being. That's what healing depression is all about. It's about becoming 100% emotional 100% of the time. I'm not there yet, but I'm definitely looking forward to progressing and reaching that point in my life. And I'm so thankful that I have actually been able to get to a point in my life where I desire to wake up. I desire to do my passions. I desire to make the most of my life. And I no longer desire to harm myself. And I desire to, feel my emotions when they come up. And I desire to be an emotional and sensing being. So I'm grateful that I've been able to get to that point in my life. And I'm looking forward to the day that I can be completely healed of all my trauma. But I'm just grateful that today I can be free from depression, and so can you if you allow yourself to become this feeling and sensing emotional being again. It's the way to heal. It's the way to heal it forever. It's very exciting to know that, because there is a way to heal depression forever, and it works. but you just have to be willing to go through the process of being emotional again, feeling pain, feeling anger, feeling rage, feeling fear, whatever the negative emotions are. You have to be willing to go there. And that's all it's going to take is your desire, your will in the right direction. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you want to watch more inspiration like this, head to my playlist on how to overcome depression as a music producer. Like I said, you don't need to be just a music producer to benefit from this information. You can be anyone doing any passion in your life. And I hope that this gives you a lot of faith in your life that you can actually work through and heal depression. You don't have to live with it. I hope it gives you a lot of faith that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, that you can live a depression-free life, a life full of feeling and emotion and expression of who you are, your unique soul and your unique personality in this world. That's the goal, is to get to the point where you desire life, you desire growth, you desire change, you desire to evolve as a human soul, you desire to actually discover who you are, the real unique personality and soul that you are. I will say it's never easy. It is hard having to feel through all of these horrible emotions, but it is worth it. Again, my name is Electronics. Thank you so much for joining me, and I shall talk to you soon.